people to come in. For those that are coming in, firstly, hello. Thank you. Lovely to see you all. For those that have not attended these sessions before, I'd just like to kind of give a little bit of an insight into what we do, how we do, and why we're doing it. But Beth, who's from the NEU, we met each other 6-7 years ago now, it must be. And back then, Beth messaged me and she said, I need someone to come and teach about Google Classroom. And I was like, yes, more than happy. I was a Google trained educator. And we felt like we were those people, that sign that says the end of the world is nigh, you know, down with this sort of thing, easy now. And we were talking about digital classroom and digital kind of learning and all this. And it was kind of like, yes, I'll come along, tick the box, go away. And then when all the debacle of the last couple of years occurred, Beth got in contact again. And I think our first session, we had 30, 40 people. And then it went to 60, then it went to 70, then it went to 80, then it went to 100. And there's a real big push for these digital skills. Now, what I've found, a lot of my job is I do go out and I do observations, or I do a lot of work with school governors. I see how schools are working. And one of the things, unfortunately, that I've noticed is that fantastic skills are being used during lockdown. And now people are slowly coming back into the classroom. They're just getting a little bit forgotten. So when we looked at what we were going to plan for today's session, I said to Beth, I said, I want to kind of revisit a few bits that we've done in the past, but I want to look at going, how can I make sure we're still using these great skills so we can use them both synchronously and asynchronously? So I'm going to be showing some digital tools, looking at collaborative practice that you can change and you can use either in your classroom, or you can set as online tasks either via Teams or using Google Classroom. So the aim for tonight is to go through just some methods that I've seen that I thought have been really quite good on Jamboard. I'm going to be looking at another piece of software which is called Sketchboard, and then I'm going to be looking at Mural. And again, it's all about that level of complexity. So Jamboard, I'm aiming it towards kind of primary school education. Sketchboard is something that you may see at the end of primary school, maybe early start of secondary school. And Mural is something that's quite good for the secondary education, or even FE or HE if you work in that sector. If there is time, and if I decide to talk far too fast, then I do have extra, there's notes and everything. So I do have extra bits and pieces. But what I will say, we do have the Q&A box at the bottom, and we do have the chat box, which I will refer to as I go through. If you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box. I'm more than happy to go back over things. I'm not going to get to 8 o'clock and just stop. Okay, I'll keep going until I've done my piece. So hopefully everything gets covered. Now, what I will do is I will be sharing my screen and going through the procedure. If there's anything I'm talking about and you don't see on the screen, Beth will shout abuse at me. Yeah, so that's absolutely fine. So she'll get shouted at me. So let's get cracking. Now, the first tool I want to look at today, so I'm just going to share my screen. So hopefully you can see, I've got my Google Classroom set up, but I want to look at Google Jamboard. Now, Jamboard is, the nice thing I like about it is it's a very simple and clear collaboration board. And I did show some bits and pieces previously, but I've been out in settings and I've observed a few things. I've gone, I quite like that as a method. So I want to look at how we can use Jamboard to expand on what we do. So when you go to your Jamboard, bottom right hand corner, you've got your plus symbol there. So we're going to start up a new jam, which will open up in a second. So on your basic screen, the first thing, again, this is the reason I kind of angle this towards more primary education, is the simplicity of the tool that you have here. Nice clear tools on the left-hand side, simple screen. And I'm going to look at how we can use it to make a collaborative learning activity. Now, one of the things I said to Beth is I'm going to try and get more Welsh in. So I'm not going to try and butcher the language, but I will try my hardest. You can read it for yourself. But I want to look at just building a basic tool, and maybe you can guess what I'm doing with this tool initially. So I'm just going to put together some sticky notes here. Now, sticky notes are the variation of the post-it note system, which you can make quite nicely. And I'm just going to make some simple sticky notes here for my classroom. And this is where you can, there we go. So the first thing I've done on my screen here is I'm just putting towards some little post-it notes here. There we go. Those that do speak Welsh will know exactly what's going on here. Those that don't, get on one of the Welsh language lessons that I bet NEU offers. But we're going to look at how to make a collaborative task and an individual task. And this is a good thing with Jamboard. So what I'm going to do now is I've got a few options here, but I'm going to add an image. Now, the one thing I like about Jamboard is it's connected to Google Images. So it's nice and quick. I don't have to download anything. I can keep it nice and simple, and I can just insert some basic pictures. So now I've got this little picture here. I'm going to put that there. Let's add some more. Let's put another picture in. This is where I spend ages picking. Oh, he looks a handsome fella, so I'll have him. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to put together a very simple work task. Now, with all of these, the main aim is not to show you how to make exactly the same thing, but it's about making you think about how can I make something in my own classroom. Straight away, you may think of, oh, I could do this, I could do this, but effectively it's just a methodology. And when I saw this very simple task being created by another tutor, and I went, "Jot, that's such an effectively simple tool to use." That's a handsome horse. We'll put that handsome horse in there. Now, there we go. So there's my worksheet. Now, the aim of this task, when I saw it being used in practice, was that the students would get the pen, and you've got a few options here for the pen, and they would then kind of draw a line. So they go, oh, from there, oh, that's a bat. You know, they can choose any color they want. That's a that, and so on. Now, the nice thing with using Jamboard over some of the other ones is that I can create something like this. So I'll just give it a name. So we just click on where it says Untitled, and we give it a name, and we call it Match the Animals. So I've got my Welsh phrases on the left-hand side. I've got the pictures on the right-hand side. And all the students would be expected to do there is draw the line. Now, this can be done as a task shared sent to their home, sent to their Google Classroom, something for them to do at home. Or again, if you've got a smart whiteboard in the classroom, they can come up and they can draw in it. They can even just, if they want to, using the arrow there, they can put the post-it note on top. Now, if we go back to our Google Classroom, look at how we add this. We can add this task as an assignment in a couple of ways. I want to show you how we can do this in two different ways. So with the classwork, what we do is we go to classwork, we go to create, and I can either set this as material, like a little task for them to do that they enjoy, or I can do it as an assignment. And I'm going to set this as an assignment for them. So I'm going to have here, match the animals, and I'm going to put the instructions in. I've got a couple of questions that are coming in, so I'll have a quick look. This is being recorded, so that's absolutely, so it will be recorded for you. In the instructions, I can raise some bits and pieces and put them in for them. So I can put the instructions, so match the Welsh phrase to the image. Now, what I'm going to do with this, I've got a couple of options. I'm going to add my Google Drive file, because that's where Jamboard is instantly saved to Google Drive. And I'm going to pick as my little task that I've just made. And I'm going to insert that. Now, with using Google Jamboard, I have 3 different options with it. Students can either view the file, which means they can look at it, but they can't edit it. I can have it as students can edit the file. Now, if students can edit the file, it means I can share it to everybody in that class, and they all add to that one screen. However, I also have a thing here called make a copy for each student. What this does is, if I've got 20 in my Google Classroom, it makes 20 copies, which means that I can make one worksheet go out to 20 different people. And I can assign this as a task for them. So now I can send that to them as an activity, and all I've got to do is create the one. So that's how I then assign that for them. So let's say I've got that one, and I've now just assigned that to my students. So there we go. So my students now, I've sent that to them. I've assigned it to 58, and now I'll have 58 that are returned to me. And that's just using a very simple idea of how to take that board to get them either do it, they can do it in pairs and they can do it in groups. I'm going to show you now how to take this one task and say, for example, I've got 20 students and I want them in 4 groups of 5. So let's go to a new Jamboard. And let's look at a different way that I can do this. So there's the ones I've set for everybody. So I can see. So some people get an email going, they've got homework to do, which they're going to be overjoyed with. So now I'm going to go to a new Jam, because on this next one, I want to have a task. I've got 20 in my group, but I want it to go to different people. I want them to work together collaboratively. So this next task I'm going to have is I'm going to have a critical discussion. Whether you'd set that for primary school children, I don't know, but I'm not going to assume anything. Let's say it's the, they're doing are they going to vote Labour or are they going to vote Conservative? Please don't get political in the chat box. This is going off the top of my head here. And I want them to do a critical discussion of the 2. So on here, I can put some shapes in. I can draw on here. So I'm just going to just pick a pen. I'm going to draw a nice line down the 2. There we go. So on this task, I want them to find some positive things about that organization, positive things about that organization. You can do it with anything. You can maybe look at the Montagues versus the Capulets, or you could do it from history perspective. Now, what I want on this task is I want to put them into 4 groups of 5, get them to collaborate and share to their board. So how do I do that? So let's go back to my classroom. Here I am on my Google Classroom, and I'm going to set up a new assignment. Set the assignment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say critical discussion, and in the instructions I'm going to say find 3 positives and 3 negatives for each group. I'm going to add my Jamboard file to it. There we go. Please make yours a little bit neater than mine. That's quite dreadful, really. Now, top tip here, I'm going to say group 1, just to make it clear for me, so I know who's in my group. Now, what I can do on the right-hand side here, where it says for all students, I can actually untick everybody who's in my all students, and I can select that file. So say, for example, it's just going to go to these 5 learners. They're in that first group. So I've selected just those 5, and I'm going to go, those students can edit the file. Not make a copy for each student, just students can edit the file. Now, what this means is that Jamboard, only one will go to those 5 students and they all participate and collaborate on that one board together. And then I assign that. So now that group of 5 students has got that one. And I'd then go create, and I'll do exactly the same again. I'll go critical discussion, group 2. I'd follow the same procedure. Here we go. Adding that file, students can edit the file, and I'd pick the next 5 who are in my list who are going to get this piece of homework for them to do. And I would assign that again. So straight away with this tool here, the simplicity of it is that I can have it as an individual task. I can have it as something that's in our classroom that we can collaborate on, we can share. And it's something that the students can do in groups or as a whole group, or they can do individually. Now, again, the benefit with using something like the Jamboard is just what I can do with it afterwards. So if I go back to my Jamboard, say, for example, someone's done the work, and let's have a look. So Laura Dodds, you know, she's done this lovely piece of work. You know, straight away from here, I can download it as a PDF, put it in like a physical folder, or I can print it and put it on the wall. It will automatically be saved to the student's Google Drive file, and I have that as a copy. It's permanently saved for them. So it's a great way of taking quite a simple activity and playing around with it, really. Again, we can take it to a harder level if you want. So in these text boxes, I can put a larger sentences. So it's not always got to be, this is where I had to ask how to make sure this is spelled. But you can put in quite large pieces of text here. This blue line on the bottom will tell you when you've maxed out your capabilities with the word phrasing there. But you do, if you want to, you can just put a standard text box in. So if you want, these are just post-it notes where you can move them, and the text box if you want to put a larger piece in. And the students can do that, and they can play with those as well as the shapes. So Jamboard, though it is quite a simple tool, can really go quite far with it. What I'll do before I move on to the next bit is just say if you've got any questions about that or any queries about using Jamboard and putting them in, pop them in the Q&A box, because I'm more than happy to go a little bit further on it. So I'll just wait for a few questions. Again, the great thing with this is you can even create things like voting platforms. So one that I've seen before, if we quickly pop back to my Jamboard here, we had students on one, you know, I put some phrases up. So they're going to vote for Jeff, or are they going to vote for, they're going to vote for Jeff or Bob? And then the students, by sharing this to the group, they can just put their little, they can make their own post-it note and they can move it between the two. So we can say, there we go. And just simple collaborative tools. And it's about getting them used to these methodologies in their practice as they progress. So I'm just going to look, there's maybe a few questions coming in. So hopefully that's quite useful. So we've looked at Jamboard. The next step now is to look at what's the next thing we can do. Now, the next tool I really want to look at is something called Sketchboard. Now, Sketchboard, I was looking for something that was just that next level up. And with Sketchboard, it's very much like a whiteboard tool, but it gives you quite a few different features in there, which I think is where it kind of explored a little bit more for, say, junior school or lower secondary. Again, sketchboard.me, you log in with a Gmail address, which they can use the hub account, they can use the school Google account. And what you can do here, if we take a board, so say we're going to create a new board. So let's create a new board. So with the basic account, you only get 3. But what you can do is if they're logged in, they can create up to 3 themselves. So with their new board, what they can do here is, let's give it a name. So let's give it a DT planning activity. So there we go. And we're just going to save this. Now, they've got a few options here with it. It can either be a team one, in which they can invite people in. They can have it as public, which anyone can see. I wouldn't really advise against the public one. Or they can have it personal. They can delete those 3 and make another 3. That's absolutely fine. I think you can only have 3 saved at one time on the basic package. But if you're using it just as an activity, just to get them thinking, I'll show you what you can do with it afterwards. So here's our DT planning activity, and we're just going to save this. So there's our board. Now, if you look at the size of this board, it is actually quite big. And the thing I really liked about this is that it gives them quite a few of these quite interesting built-in little themes and bits and pieces that they can just add straight away. So say, for example, we're going to look at building a mind map. Now, what we can do here is we just drag and drop in to that central area. So say they're planning a DT activity and they're going to try and make a litter picker for picking up people's face masks, which is my biggest bugbear in the world at the moment, because I'm a grumpy old man. That really annoys me. Now, with the built-in one, they've actually got these little sections that they can add in. So they can either put these roadmap areas in, or they can put these little toolboxes in here. But they can use this to add together and add some different things. So say, for example, we can have what materials they need to include. Let's just centralize that. So it's got all the different features that you would have in kind of basic publisher. So there's nothing real new there for them to play with. Let's take another main topic. So let's say this is going to be for, who is my audience? Maybe we're going to have safety features, I don't know. Now, as the teacher, you can build this for them. You can build this basic worksheet for them, and you know, let's zoom out a bit so you can see just the size of it now for them to play around with. Now, what I do is I just add a teammate. Now, with this one here, all I would do is I type in their email address. So say it could be beth.roberts, or it could be, you know, pete.smith@gmail.com. What that does is it invites them in, and they can then join in and they can collaborate on that same board. Again, this is something that they could use externally, they could use it at home, or they could use it in the classroom to build on. So now my other person is involved with this. They've got a few options here. So we can do some freehand bits and pieces. So you've still got the freehand features. But we've also got all these features down the right-hand side. So let's go to general bit, where we go. Let's go to the roadmap, and they can add in flowchart features for them. There we go. So they can add some text boxes in, where they can start to plan the ideas that they want to have in this box. They can start to add some different features in. And I think the thing I always liked about this was that it gave them the option to share, collaborate. It looks a little bit more technical for them, so it doesn't look as childish as maybe Jamboard, which I always found was a little bit of a feature, especially when I saw it in practice. Now, the maximum you can have on one board with the basic package is up to 15 at one time. So you can have 15 and they can create their own once they're logged in. So what I'm going to do now is the next feature, say I've created this basic board for them. Let's go back to my account. So let's go back to Sketchboard. I'm going to show you why it's quite useful for it. So what I can do in my account, of the student's account, they can create teams. And they can create a team, where is it? So they got team education. So I've made one which is team education. And they can create one which is, get rid of that. Thank you. So they've got their team boards here. And they can add them. So I've added one straight away, which is called education, but they can have one just for different people in their group. So if they're in a, say they're working with Pete and Jeff and Frank, they can have one just for that group there. Now, the other features with Sketchboard is they've got these pre-built ones in. So say, for example, they want to do a flow chart. So clicking on flow chart, what this will do for them is it will give them a little frame that they can play with, but they can just delete all these features. So what they can do there is they can clear that board. They can just clear it by hand, and that's absolutely fine. So let's get rid of these bits and pieces. But it gives them the little logos and the little features that they can use to add in to help them make their next level. So whether it's an activity, then a decision, this is kind of going back to some of my old school sort of DT, I can't remember too much about it, but it does have these little bits in there which help them kind of build and go from there and collaborate together. And that's quite a nice feature, and that again, this is using Sketchboard for them. They can also add into here. It doesn't have to be just text they add in. Maybe they want to add a link to a website that they've used. Let's just find a link. There we go. And they're going to add in a URL. So just to add that in, let's put that one in there. All they would do, and then they've got a link there for the student, which, there we go. So that now becomes a link for other people to click on and use when they get access to it. So there's the link. So if they want to add videos to it, they can do that with Sketchboard, and that works perfectly fine. A few questions coming in again. Yeah, someone said they're ideal for algorithms. Are smile and wave and go yes. So yeah, it can definitely be used there. For procedures, this is one of the things I always found with it was kind of going, drawing the flow charts or working as groups to make the flow charts. Something that you could have, I always thought of it again as something that you have on the whiteboard in the classroom to help you get used to these different features and add these different bits in. Now, the good thing with it as well is when you add teammates and you have teammates on there, they can click on any of the boxes. So say, for example, you've put here, could we look at this color here? They can add comments. And they can add a comment here going, I agree with this. Great work. Save that. And now on my flow chart or anything, I can see what somebody else has said. And we can kind of participate, we can collaborate together and make sure that they have that there. So that's quite a nice feature. With the menu here, what you can do with this is same as last time. They can present it, which it goes full screen. If you want to have it something that, like a mini Viva for students, they can download it on a range of things. So they can send it straight to their Google Drive. They can set it as, download it as a PDF, a JPEG. So again, everything they make can be printed and put on your board or put in a folder. And that's a little tool that's available for them. With the versions here, again, same as with JPEG, what I can do is I can see when a piece of work is done. So it will create versions at the end of each day, or I can create versions before I leave. And it's kind of like a way of saving it. So if I do create a version, so day 1 teamwork, there we go. And what that will do is it will mean that when a person goes on, they can look at each section. They can actually go back to, oh no, we did some work and that was quite terrible. We want to go back a bit further on that. So the use of versions will allow that. Any questions at all on Sketchboard as one of the tools there for you? If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat box. And then we'll look at the next bits and pieces I really want to look at. Okay. Brilliant. So the next one I really want to look at, I think is by far one of my favorites, mostly because even with the basic plan, which is free to get a basic plan using a Gmail account, there is a huge amount of features on it. And the thing I found with this as well, it links quite well with both Google Classroom and Teams. And this is a piece of software called Mural. Now, Mural, if I go to the main page for you to have a look at, this is app.mural.co. I'll make sure to send all the links to Beth before I leave. Let me just go for Mural. There we go. Just loading up. Mural is, I'd say it's a little bit more of an intensive wall chart planner. Great as both an individual tool and for collaborative work. And I've got a few options when I log in here. Now with the basic plan, you can have up to 10 murals created at one time. Just going to get rid of some of these because this is where I was practicing and playing around with it the other day. So I can create a blank mural, or I've got these templates here. And this is where I quite like the idea of the templates, because what I found was at first when I got this, I was trying to think of different things or some ideas. And actually, by looking at the templates they had on here, I went, oh, actually, I quite like this one. Maybe I could change what I was originally planning to do to fit it with this. So one here I'll show you in a bit is the SWOT analysis, which I've used with the group I'm teaching. I'm using this SWOT analysis, looking at combining it with the Johari window, which is quite a nice one. But I'm just going to start with a blank mural to begin with. So let's create mural. And that's it. It's just an absolute blank screen. Now with the blank mural, very much like Jamboard, it's a larger version of it. I have a few options as to what I can do here. So I can start by adding text. So hitting the text box, I can either add, so let's put a title box in here. Let's go, this is my plan for charity event. There we go. Again, just drag and drop. I think it's very much designed for touchscreen, iPad, MacBook, those sorts of things, but it can be used on any other PC. So I can add the charity there. I can add that. I've got the post-it note features, which I can add in if I want to make something stand out. So again, I can click on that and I can add my text. I can also add web links straight into it. So say I want to go to, there we go, a website. And I can add text into this. So this site looks useful for our information. So I can play with this screen here. I've got very much the same features as previously, which is the post-it notes. I've got the URL, which, there we go, we can open that and it takes them to a website. Again, a good idea if they want to add YouTube links. I can add shapes and connectors. So again, very good if you're looking at building flow charts to connect between different points. So let's just get a basic one. There we go. Lovely. The building. I've got a few icons as well, which kind of quite useful. Here we go. If we want to vote for different things, we can have that. Show you a bit more about voting in a bit. And we've got the frameworks, which I'm going to, if I show the frameworks here. So the frameworks are useful for different features if you don't want to draw them. So you may have seen my awful drawing for the voting screen I had earlier. Well, actually, I can just take, let's take a grid I had. I'm just going to zoom out of this. So let's just go to my zoom settings. There we go. I'm just going to zoom out. So I'm just zooming out using the wheel on my mouse, and I can add different features here. So I've got bigger grids, I've got some bullseyes, but then it's got all these other ones that I can add to it. So say, for example, I want to add in, there we go, a roadmap. What I can do with all of these is I can click into them and I can type over the top. I can delete the different things I've got here, and I can play around with them. So it is quite a nice feature that is there. I've got the blank ones that I can add to it, and I can just delete them quite simply. And that's just the frameworks I have. Next thing I have, again, I've got the images here. Now I can either search for images by keyword. So if you've got images that you've already added to your folder, you can add them. But these are also royalty-free pictures. There's quite a few royalty-free pictures. So they don't have to go onto a third-party website or another one and copy and paste them in. They can just use the basic ones that they have. And again, like with all the other ones, it's just drag and drop, or they can import them from the computer. It's connected to their Google Drive as well, and they can just add them to their screen. Content libraries, if they already have personal things, because what you can do with this is you can also add things like PDF documents. You can add music files, video files, if it's already stored in your library. So the library is imported from here if you've already added it in. Now the files, where I've kind of found this one quite useful for all levels of my students. So if we take from a computer, say for example, here we go, there's an article they're going to add in. I've used this for my students for when they're doing research, and when they want something to help them remember doing their work and their journals and bits and pieces, they can add actual PDF files to this. So now my students, they've added this PDF file on their computer, and then when they get to the screen, they can just hit open and it takes them to an article there. So it's a great way, if you've got more visual learners who want to build these mind maps, especially when they're building an argument or they're building a task, they can add images, they can add videos, and they can add PDFs to help them as they go along. And again, you've got the ability to free draw and play around with different options for them. So there we go with the colors. I'm done with my drawing. So very much like with the last one, to add members, I either click members and I can manage Mural members, which is by adding people. So I can invite them. Again, just using the Gmail, I can invite them in and they'll get a link. I can also copy this invite link. So say, for example, I copy this invite link. What I can do, if I go to visitor link, I can give them permission. So anyone with the link, no sign up required, can edit. So I can have that set there, or I can have it where they can only view. So I'm going to get a visitor link. So I can copy that link. I can go to my Google Classroom and I can set it again as an assignment. So I can say Mural, share your research to the page. So what I've done now is I've taken that mural, there's my share link. I've assigned it so that anyone can go on and access it. They don't even have to have an account. or they can use it, there we go, and assign it, or they can use it just to view. So especially if you're, say for example, you're building a program and you want to put some work on there to help them with revision for exams or SATs or CATs or GCSEs, I can do that for them. So let's go back to my main screen. Now, once I've got people in, again, the great thing with Mural is I've got a few different features on here which are useful. And the first one, again, like with Sketchboard, is I've got the comment section. So what I do on the comment section is I right-hand click on an element and I can add comment. So I can add a comment like, nice, there we go. So if you've got a group of 6 people and maybe they're sharing some ideas or they want to get some feedback between the two, they can add comments. You also have the chat box feature, which is particularly useful. Say, for example, they're working in the classroom or they're working asynchronously elsewhere. They just hit this chat box. And in the chat box, they can have a discussion between the two. Now, if you've created this board, make them aware you can see what they put in that chat box as well. So if they do put anything offensive, you can see everything as well. Or don't tell them. Choice is yours, really. So I can see also here the activity. Now, the activity gives you a little history as to what's happened at what time. Very much like the version history on Sketchboard, but I feel this one is a lot better than the one on Mural. So if I create something in the evening, somebody else can come in. So I've got somebody else here now. There we go. Somebody else is in on the screen as well. And I can see whether they've added something. Oh, Bob added something last night. So there's Spooky Visiting Spider. They've started to add to the screen, and we can both work on this at the same time. And I can see in here whether they start to do something. So whoever is Spooky Visiting Spider, if you want to do something, thank you very much. I can now go to the activity history, and what it will do is it will tell me when somebody has added something to it. There we go. Spooky created an icon a few seconds ago, and it will tell me that time as to when they did it. And I can talk with them and go from there. Now, again, we're looking at this idea of how can we collaborate, how can we share with this one. And you've also got something called the voting session. Brilliant, Alama, thank you. Much appreciated. Now, the voting session is particularly useful. Say, for example, you're doing this group activity on planning a charity event, and you've got either, oh, let's vote for either we do a llama party or we do a building party, I'm not sure. Now, the voting link, I can go start a voting session. So llama party or building party. And I can set a number of votes per person, so 1 vote. And I can go any member of this mural, and I hit next. So now the voting has begun. So what I can do is we're all in this group together, and whoever's in the group can just click on that picture. And I've now voted for what I want. So there's my little vote up there. And I can actually, if I right-hand click on it, I can remove that vote. So say, for example, I want to vote for my llama party. So again, it's taking that big screen. I can see what's voted, who's voted and where they voted. And it's just another idea of getting a little bit of a kind of democratic way into this activity. So it's quite nice. I can then end the voting session. And there we go. We have 2 votes for the shouting llama screen. Now, if I do want to do a vote again, what I can do with the voting session, I can have multiple votes for them, and that's absolutely fine. Now, the person who starts the voting session is the one who stops it once it's got to a point. So they're in charge of that session there. That's quite nice for them. You can have a timer if you want for it. So I can start a timer if I want to have the voting session timed as well. Now, when you come to share this, I did say, oh, you can share it by invite link, but what you can also do with it You can also embed it in quite a few things. So I want to enable embedding. So say, for example, I've got Moodle or Blackboard or Canvas or even Teams. I can embed this screen. So by hitting embed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the embed link. And then I'm going to go to my Teams page. Because what I want to do now is I want to have my Mural page embedded for my students. And I want to see it as it progresses. So if I go to my Teams page, at the top, I can add a tab, and I'm going to go to website. And then in the URL, I'm going to paste that embed link. So we're going to have
Julian, you're not in, I can't see Teams.
Oh, you're missing out. It's fantastic. There we go. Thank you for that. So on my Teams page, here's my Teams page. Can you see that okay, Beth?
Yes.
Brilliant, thank you. So I then go to the plus symbol at the top, and then I go to website. And I can paste that embed link into there, and we'll have Llama Party and save. Now, what this does is it embeds that mural into my Teams page. Now, you can't edit on the Teams page, but you can see it. So as people start to add stuff to this screen here using the Mural app, so say, for example, you have it as a revision guide, or you want to start adding some facts and stuff, as it gets edited on here, it will automatically get updated. If I click off there and I go back to my Llama Party, it will get updated. There we go. On my Teams page. And it's a great way of, if you want to build like a revision screen for students, or you want to start adding some shared stuff or some useful web links, because I can still access the different features that are on it, and I can still, there we go, so I can still open different bits and pieces that are on it, and that's available for me. So that's quite a nice feature of that. Now, if I just go back to my dashboard, just the other thing with Mural, like I said, it does have these great built-in templates, which is on the main screen. So on the templates, it's got built-in project planning, it's got flow charts, it's got mood maps, but I can take any of these. So say, for example, I want to do the SWOT analysis one. Let's go to the SWOT analysis one. This is one that I've been using with the group. And what it's got here is it's built this nice big screen for me. And I can just zoom in with them. But I can still edit each of the elements. So here's that brainstorm bit. Well, actually, maybe I don't want that feature on my screen. That's the one I want. Create mural from templates. There we go. And I can go in, I can go, yeah, I like this, but I can remove that from my outline. So I can get rid of bits and pieces. But it's got pre-built for me these lovely forms and these these worksheets that I can then share with my students. Gives them nice, clear instructions, and I can add stuff to it. So let me just unlock each of these. There we go. And I can rename them. I can edit the instructions, or I can remove them from the actual whole entire page. And that's great for me. And that's the templates that are available. Again, there's things on the templates such as mood maps, guides, there's flow charts, especially like for those that are doing the DT or the algorithms. I'll let someone explain the algorithm for me. And that's Mural for you. Again, I can still add it to my my classroom page if I want to add it to my classroom page for students to submit to, or I can add it to Teams, and it is quite a nice tool for that. Will anything embed into Teams like that? Yes, you as long as there's an embed code. Jamboard unfortunately doesn't embed. Maybe that's a Google Microsoft thing, but it's if there's an embed code there, you can embed anything onto Teams using the website link if you have it. If there are any other questions, please pop them in the chat box. I'm more than happy to answer them. Can you use Jamboard on a Chromebook? Most definitely. Chromebook is Google and the best buddies for it. So yes, you can. Any other questions, please ask me. I'm more than happy to answer them. But hopefully that's been started to get some ideas flowing with regards to how we can take these online tools. They can all be used both in the classroom as well as being able to be shared for when they're at home. And it's a way of maintaining this digital competency and keeping it going for them. Using all of these tools going from primary level to higher education level, you do have that access. So thank you very much. Good, I'm glad that some people will be using, the Mural with the adult learners. Again, Mural, it's a great tool just for building as it progresses. I used it with a group over the summer for their revision, and they'd share different journal articles or a video or a TED talk, and they just built this massive page, which they were all adding to regularly. And when it came to writing assignments, they could go back to it. Some students are a bit more visual with regards to, they like to have lines, especially when they're looking to draw patterns and stuff. And that's the one thing I really liked with Mural. It allowed you to draw patterns to connect different ideas together. But if there is anything else, please pop in the chat box. If not, massive thanks for coming back online for these sessions. We do have some more planned, looking at escape rooms, choose your own adventure stories using Google Slides, and hopefully really like to see you again there in the future. So kind of best luck with your work on this. So thank you.
Hi, Julian. There's one question about embedding Padlet on Teams.
So
and will the students be able to work on that?
Oh, that's a good one. So let's show how they would do this. So with the Padlets, if I go to Padlet, what I'll do is I'll do it and not share my screen. That's a really good idea, isn't it? Helps if I actually share my screen. So if we take a Padlet one, so that's here we go. So I'm going to take a Padlet here. When it comes to share, if I go to embed in my blog. Now what I'm going to do here is on the Padlet one, I think you've got to copy the WordPress one, because that's an embed web link. So let's try that one. Let me just double check with this one. And then what they do is you go to your Teams page, hit the plus symbol, and then it's a website. And you paste the link in there. So let's see if that one works. There we go. So if you follow that procedure, they can still add and use the Padlet, using that plus symbol onto the Padlet there. So they don't have to access a website. What you've got to do, I'll just show it again. When you go to your Padlet and you go to the embed link, go to the one that says embed on a WordPress site. So it's that web link there, not that one. That one's for your Moodle, Blackboard and Canvas. It's the second link there, which will help you then add it to your Teams page. So hopefully that's been useful. So thank you. Question there is, will I do Canva again? Do people want Canva again? If they want Canva again, we can definitely do Canva again, because Canva is great. So yeah, hopefully we will do Canva again. The date of the escape room and choose your own adventure story, is that October the 7th, Beth?
I don't know.
It's October the 7th.
Lisa knows the date. I'm really, really sorry. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't already received an email about it, then get in touch with myself or Lisa and we'll send you a link.
So the escape rooms is building escape rooms using OneNote, which I did a while again, but I've added some new bits and pieces. But we're also looking at, I'm not sure if anyone remembers those choose your own adventure stories when you're a young'un. I remember them from school, and it was where you had the book and you went, do you go over the rickety bridge? And you like hold your thumb on the page and go, no, I don't go on the rickety bridge. And you go back. So I'm looking at how to make interactive stories like that you can build for things such as like safeguarding or policy, or definitely bits and pieces like that. So yeah, adventure stories. So that's coming up soon. If there is also anything else that comes up, I know that Beth and Lisa are really keen to get a little bit more. We make stuff up as we kind of, as I see it, I go, oh, I really like that practice. People need to do that. I don't make these ideas up. I steal them from other people. Minecraft education. I've got to learn what Minecraft is. I'll hold my hand up. I'm dreadful. I'm sorry. I don't know. Minecraft, we'll have to find somebody for that because I don't have Minecraft. Office 365, yeah, definitely. Office 365 is, there's so much you can do with it now. So if people do, it's one of those ones, whether people want to have them, you know, I always worry that it's good. I said to Beth, I said, I always worry it's going to be a little bit boring, but yeah, I'm more than happy to do an Office 365 one. Especially some of the features like immersive reader, the translate, the dyslexia support, scotopic sensitivity support that's built into it, and all the other apps that are with Office 365. They're absolutely fantastic. So yeah, if that is what people want, we're more than happy to do things that are going to benefit you in your classroom. That's the key thing, really. So any other questions, please definitely put them in the box. So yeah, Office 365, yeah, I think we've been doing a lot of work at the moment looking at the accessibility reader on our online material, and Office 365, it helps. We've got these little green and amber, and it really helps to get it into green. I'll show you how to do that. So that'd be great. Be more than happy for that. So I hope that's been useful. Anything else, please pop it in. If not, go have a lovely evening. And then we will see you all very soon. Because the dog is whinging.
Has he been out for his walk?
I think he's been out for 2 today, but he'll still whinge at me.
You do know they say that dogs get more and more like their owners.
He is definitely me. He's definitely me. I can assure you that. Steve.
I don't believe that for 1 minute.
Come here. No, you're just going to whinge, aren't you?
Oh.
Someone's asked where they can see the recording, Beth. Where does the recording get put?
That's going to our cloud drive at the minute, and once it's been there for a few days, we will be posting it onto our YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to see the recording, it's the same link that they would use to go to the session, and then there should be, once it's finished doing what it's doing, it'll be available to view. And Lisa's going to email the link.
Great. The choose your own adventure and the escape room are 2 different things. So the choose your own adventure is how to make choose your own adventures using Google Slides, and the escape room is escape rooms using Microsoft OneNote. So again, with the choose your own adventure, I'm aiming it towards the younger learners. And then the escape room is a little bit more towards the older learners, mostly in just terms of how it looks. But you can take the same premise, and I'll show you how to do that and use it for the Choose Your Own Adventure one. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And I will see you all very soon. That is okay.